You walk into a room. Nothing seems off at first, but 5 minutes into the conversation, your shoulders start to feel heavy. Your mind wanders. You feel your jaw tighten. You leave the interaction and notice a strange, unexplainable exhaustion, as if a piece of you stayed behind. This is not random. It's not just mood. It's not just fatigue. It's not even just social anxiety. It's energetic. Carl Jung wrote extensively on the concept of psychological projection, the idea that what is repressed in one person often gets unconsciously expressed in another. But what he didn't spell out directly, and what modern psychological frameworks are just beginning to unpack, is the way in which energy itself gets transferred in relationships. You are not just exchanging thoughts when you speak to someone. You're exchanging unconscious material, emotional residues, unspoken expectations, psychological burdens, and depending on how attuned or unguarded you are, you may be absorbing more than you realize, especially if you are an empath, especially if you were conditioned from a young age to anticipate others' needs before they spoke them, especially if survival meant hyper-attunement. In that case, your body became an antenna, always listening, always bracing, always filtering the room. But here's the cost: you started doing emotional labor you didn't consent to. You started picking up sadness that wasn't yours, anger that wasn't yours, responsibility that wasn't yours. And slowly, you began leaking energy, not from overwork, but from overconnection. This is the hidden tax of empathy, without boundaries. The weight of unconscious enmeshment. Jung would say, what we do not make conscious, we live as fate. And for many people, this fate looks like social exhaustion, like mystery fatigue, like always needing space after being around people but not knowing why. It looks like compassion, fatigue, caretaker burnout, and resentment masked as kindness. But what if you could change that? What if you could begin to see your energy as sacred architecture? What if you could feel the subtle moment your system starts to contract, not because you're rude, but because something in the room isn't clean? What if you could trust your exhaustion, not as weakness, but as data? What if you could walk away, not to reject someone, but to return to yourself? These are the questions we will explore. This is the reclamation. Reclaiming your energy starts with permission. Permission to listen to your body over your social programming. Permission to pause when your chest tightens, even if the conversation is polite. Permission to notice when you are performing emotional safety for others while abandoning your own. Carl Jung believed that individuation, the path to becoming whole, requires confrontation with the parts of ourselves we've disowned. But what happens when the part you've disowned is your right to space? Many of us grew up being praised for how well we adapted, how much we gave, how much we tolerated. We were told we were mature for our age when we suppressed our needs. We were called kind when we said yes to things that made us shrink. We were celebrated for making others feel comfortable while slowly becoming strangers to ourselves. And that celebration became our prison. Because now, when your body wants to leave a draining interaction, you feel guilty. When your intuition says, protect your peace, your mind says, don't be rude. When your energy collapses after socializing, you wonder if you're broken. You're not. You're just waking up. You're starting to notice the cost of being available to everyone but yourself. You're starting to realize that not every relationship is reciprocal. That sometimes you're not tired because you're busy. You're tired because you've been absorbing someone else's chaos. This is what Jung might call the cost of unconscious projection. When someone doesn't own their shadow, the parts of themselves they reject, they often unconsciously project those parts onto others. You become the emotional container, the mirror, the fixer, the therapist. And unless you're conscious of it, you'll play the role without realizing. You'll find yourself helping someone who never asked for help. Or worse, someone who expects it. You'll find yourself feeling guilty when you don't reply fast enough. You'll feel pressure to match their emotional state. You'll feel drained, but you'll blame yourself. Because that's what unconscious empaths do. They internalize others' emotions and assume responsibility. But here's the truth. You're not here to be a dumping ground for unresolved energy. You're not here to rescue people from discomfort. You're not here to hold what isn't yours. You are here to become energetically sovereign, not disconnected, not isolated, but clear. Energetic clarity means knowing where you end and others begin. It means noticing when your empathy becomes entanglement. It means learning to be present without becoming porous. It means understanding that you can care deeply and still walk away. Carl Jung said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself." Many people feel lonely, not because they're alone, but because they're surrounded by people who don't see their boundaries. People who talk, but don't connect. People who expect, but don't reciprocate. So here's a radical truth. Not everyone deserves your energy. Let that land. Not everyone deserves your energy. That doesn't make them bad. It makes you discerning. And discernment is love in action. Love for your nervous system, your inner child, your time, your truth. So how do you discern? Start by asking, does this connection make me feel expanded or contracted? Do I feel energized or emptied after we talk? Do I leave the interaction feeling like more of myself or less? These are not intellectual questions. They're somatic, felt in the body, noticed in the breath, traced in the subtle shifts of your mood. And your body doesn't lie. It tenses before your mind finds language. It knows when something is off, when a boundary is needed, when a pattern is repeating, when someone is handing you their baggage with a smile. Your job is not to analyze them. Your job is to trust you. To trust that your energetic reaction is not overreaction. To trust that saying no doesn't make you cold, it makes you congruent. To trust that walking away doesn't mean you're abandoning it, means you're choosing alignment. Carl Jung believed that healing happens when we bring the unconscious into consciousness. And this includes the unconscious contracts we make in relationships. Contracts like, I'll hold your pain if you don't leave me. I'll abandon my needs if you love me. I'll make myself small if you stay close. These contracts were often written in childhood, but we keep signing them in adulthood. And they cost energy, every day. The only way to break them, awareness, boundaries, self-honoring. You don't need to fight people to protect your energy. You need to see them clearly and choose accordingly. So let's talk about what choosing accordingly looks like, not as theory, but as practice. It starts small. It starts with not replying instantly to messages that tighten your chest. It starts with noticing which topics drain you and gently changing the subject or exiting altogether. It starts with scanning your calendar and asking, where did I say yes when I meant no? It starts with letting silence do the heavy lifting. Because here's the secret. People who rely on your overgiving will feel disturbed by your clarity. They'll notice your withdrawal and call it selfishness. They'll sense your distance and call it coldness. But that discomfort isn't your burden. It's their invitation to grow. Your boundary is not rejection. It's a mirror. It reflects the parts of others they've disowned, the neediness, the helplessness, the demand for validation. When you stop feeding it, they may lash out, or disappear, or accuse you. But stay firm, not with anger, with awareness. Because their reaction reveals what the relationship was built on: your compliance, your energy, your emotional labor. When you withdraw that, What's left? Often nothing. And that is clarity. Carl Jung spoke of the transcendent function, a psychological process that bridges the conscious and unconscious through tension. This means the discomfort you feel when setting boundaries is not a sign to retreat. It's a signal that you're integrating, you're becoming whole. You're no longer outsourcing your self-worth to approval. You're no longer performing peace while swallowing resentment. You're no longer confusing emotional absorption with emotional connection. You are choosing something radical, energetic autonomy. So here's your practice. When you feel drained, pause. Ask, what did I just agree to energetically? Not verbally, energetically. Did you mirror someone's emotion? Did you suppress your truth to avoid conflict? Did you pretend to care more than you did? Did you say, I'm okay, when you weren't? These are micro-leaks, small yeses that add up to a big no to yourself. Your job isn't to eliminate all draining people. That's impossible. Your job is to notice the moment you abandon yourself and to return. Return with a breath. Return with a no. Return with silence. Return with space. Because your energy is not a public utility. It is your deepest currency, and it deserves protection. So let's make this real. Let's move from insight to embodiment. Imagine this. You're at lunch with a friend. They're venting again. Same problem, same story, same emotional script. You listen, you nod, you offer advice. Again. But halfway through your stomach knots, your breath shortens. You check your phone pretending to be busy. You leave the meal and feel like someone wrung you out. In the past, you'd say, well, they needed me. But now you ask, what did I give that wasn't mine to give? Carl Jung called this complexes, clusters of emotionally charged ideas that influence how we relate. If your complex is, I must fix to be loved, then draining interactions become your unconscious stage. You don't even notice you're leaking energy because you think it's love. But love is not depletion. Love is not exhaustion. Love is not performance. So here's your practice. Energetic debrief. After social interactions take 60 seconds, ask yourself, where did I contract? What did I suppress? What did I pretend to agree with? What did I absorb that wasn't mine? Then breathe. Imagine handing that energy back. Visualize it. Feel your spine lengthen. Feel your breath deepen. Feel your field return. It sounds small. It's not. It's spiritual hygiene. You shower every day, right? Why wouldn't you cleanse your energetic field? You see, we've normalized physical maintenance but ignored energetic maintenance. But your body is not just a machine. It's a field, a filter, a mirror, and every interaction leaves an imprint. The goal is not to be invincible. The goal is to be awake, to walk into a room and know I can sense without absorbing. I can witness without fixing. I can love without leaking, because the people who truly see you will respect your clarity. They won't demand constant access. They won't guilt you for needing space. They won't expect emotional labor as proof of loyalty. They will meet you in energetic maturity. They will clean up after themselves. They will ask, not assume. They will give, not just take. And that is healing. Let's seal this with embodiment, because knowledge without integration is just noise. Here are your real-world practices to reclaim your energy. 1. The 3-minute body scan twice daily. Pause at midday and before sleep. Close your eyes. Ask, where am I holding someone else's energy? Breathe into that area. Say silently, I release what isn't mine. Visualize exhaling cords, stories, obligations. Do this consistently, and you will begin to feel lighter, daily. 2. Energetic journaling prompt. Once daily, write the answer to this question. What did I do today to preserve my peace? even if it was small, like not replying, like saying no, like breathing deeply before a call. Honor it. Track it. Your nervous system will thank you. 3. The pause before yes rule. For 1 week, delay every yes by at least 10 seconds. If possible, sleep on it. Watch what shifts. See how many automatic people-pleasing scripts dissolve. You're not avoiding people, you're honoring yourself. 4. Weekly energetic detox, 30 minutes. Choose one person, task, or habit that drains you and take space from it. Just for 1 day. Notice what comes up. Fear of guilt. Fear of rejection. That's your shadow work. Not to be solved. To be seen. Real-life scenario example. Let's say you're in a group chat where people always complain. You don't want to leave, but every message drains you. What's the micro boundary? Mute it. Check only once a day. Don't reply instantly. Notice how reclaiming 5 seconds of choice creates hours of internal peace. That's energetic leverage. Because here's the truth. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are not a sponge. You are not a permanent open door. You are a sovereign system, a living, breathing boundary of awareness. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." And you now have a choice. To keep leaking, or to start leading yourself. To keep absorbing, or to start aligning. To keep performing, or to come home to your truth. And remember, clarity is kind. Boundaries are bridges. Distance is sometimes the most loving answer. So now I leave you with this. Who drains you the most? And what part of you keeps saying yes to that? Let me know in the comments. Not to gossip, but to witness yourself. This is your mirror. This is your moment.